Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. They call him the boat, but we are here live and in living color like always. But Brad, how you doing, dog?
I'm good, boy. I'm real good. I'm excited because what a weekend of fights we had. You know, a lot to talk about. There's WWE ThunderDome. There's all kinds of stuff. By the way, shout out to the over 350,000 subscribers to the Reality of Wrestling YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, do it now. And also go subscribe to their Hall of Fame podcast.
Yeah, man. Do it. Do it now. We do it for you. It's a whole lot going on, man. So,
what was it? What did you sent me something that you saw on Twitter? It was like 18 months ago. We were at 18,000.
Yeah.
353, I think.
It's crazy, man. Like I say, our growth in the last 18 months has grew just about as much as any independent wrestling company out there. And that right there for me is a big ups to the crew more than anything. Everybody that's made this possible, everybody that's putting in the hard work at Reality of Wrestling. I'm doing some stuff right now with A&E, and one of the guys was talking about the name. He was like, "Man, why y'all guys don't why y'all don't say ROW?" Somebody must have checked him and said, "Now we Reality of Wrestling on the row," just because we do want to be a little bit different than everybody out there that's doing a little bit of the same thing, and that right there is very, very difficult. But we seem to have managed. Again, been getting rave reviews just on the drive-in show that we did. So many people, so many comments as far as, man, what Reality of Wrestling did for them, getting them out of the house. You know, I think we got a pretty good thing down at 10,000 M.F. Lowry Expressway, and all we got to do is just keep it going. We got to get through this pandemic, though, man. We got to get through this pandemic because that has thrown a monkey in the wrench as far as trying to get business taken care of and keeping everything on track. Just because, man, it's hard. You know, it's hard because you just don't know what's going to happen to things like the wind. It changes from 1 minute to the next. We're getting told one thing at one point in time, and then all of a sudden it changes, you know, so it's very, very fluid. So I say I appreciate it. Again, everybody that made that thing possible. But again, if everything go down like it has thus far, nobody's come back and said they're feeling ill or anything like that, we're getting ready to re-up again for next month.
Absolutely. I'm gonna be ready for this pandemic to be over. I'm telling you that much. We all know, but there's a lot of stuff.
You know what though? Just to speak on the pandemic, we got to be able to get this thing together because I was just looking at today and I was just looking at on the news in Wuhan, China. They haven't had a case since May. All right, and they just had one of the largest gathering of people that they've had since the outbreak. Wuhan, China, right now is coronavirus free, and this is where it's supposed to come from. Man, they got to know something that we don't, and it seemed like our people will be talking to their people, and their people will be talking to their people, and we would have somewhat tried to figure this thing out.
That would entail leadership trusting one another, which seems to be an issue that stops success for everybody more often than not. But I'm with you. If they can figure it out, we invented the iPhone. We got to figure it out. If we got the iPhone, we got to figure this out.
They put a man on the moon. You know what I mean? I mean, so we should be. Like I say, for Wuhan, where this thing's supposed to have originated from, for those people to be living their lives. Living their best lives right now after something like this, man, it gives me hope, but definitely we got to find a formula to figure out how we can get in that same position. Yeah.
No, I agree, BT, but a good thing that you and I are both healthy. Also, shout out to everybody in the chat. We got a lot of people from South Africa.
Right? My people from the bush is on the line. I appreciate you guys, man.
South Africa, New York City, LA. We got Calgary, Alberta in the building. And look at this, Barbados. Barbados is here right now as well. Around the world, Book. Around the world we are right now here live on YouTube. So we appreciate all of you. All of you right now, man. Barbados, that's where Rihanna comes from.
I'm
trying to go there.
Mel, she's trying to get a trip, you know. So hopefully by the first of the year, things will be smoothed out a little bit and we can take that little trip, make sure the little woman is all happy. happy wife, happy life. That's that's what they say anyway, man. But man, again, we're coming off a huge weekend. UFC went down this weekend. The trilogy, the rubber match went down. DC versus Stipe. That co-main event, of course, with Sean O'Malley. That's something we got to talk about. But one thing I want to talk about before we even get into that stuff, man, is people out there, man, on the internet, on social media, always trying to bait, someone into saying something that they can create something off of at the same time. So I just want to tell these people out there that's trying to goat people like Big E, to say something about Booker T in a negative light. Get off of it, man. You know what I mean? I've given Big E great advice, and hopefully he takes some of that advice and move to that next level and crash that glass ceiling like I know he can. I've just been sitting back watching some of Big E stuff from the past, like when he first came in. I was like, man, this guy, Big E was a monster. He really was. And to be able to capture a little bit of that is what I'm talking about. Not change everything, but Big E, you and I, we talk. You know where I'm coming from, and do exactly what I think you can do, brother. And let's go out there and become, the WWE champion in some form. So don't listen to the haters, that's trying to hate on Booker T.
I saw a lot of those same people too, man, and. Book, we pride ourselves when we have somebody on this show, we just have a conversation with them. We're not trying to get the gotcha questions. We're not trying to get the dirt, the gossip. And it seems like a lot of our fellow media types, that's all they want, man. Elliot, I've seen 3 articles in the last 2 weeks where some journalist, in quotations, will say, so what do you think about what Booker T had to say about you on his podcast? And let me read you a quote that's out of context, Mike.
The thing is, they won't read the whole thing. And I actually had a conversation with Big E, and Big E said he responded to one of them without reading the full context. And he said, man, that's just someone answered the question. I just answered it. And I understand that between him and I. But these reporters, these so-called journalists, they're going to try to get you to say something, and they'll read you a portion of what I said, and it'll sound like I said something negative in a sense. And the thing is, one thing these young guys need to know is I'm the one guy that's pushing for them. I'm the one guy that's, whether, I may say something controversial. I may say something that definitely needs to be discussed. And perhaps somewhat given an explanation why I said it, and I've always been willing to do that. But sometimes people just take it and try to make something out of nothing, and they use a excerpt and it sounds like something. So, but my thing is this: everyone knows that I'm willing to say in the person's face what I say on the air all the time, and I wish none of those young guys anything other than big time success and making it to the next level and living that dream, somewhat that same dream that I've lived for the past 30 plus years.
Well, when did you talk to Big E? When did this conversation happen?
Well, we ain't got to talk about when it happened. You know what I mean? But over the last week, him and I, we actually discussed a few things. But one of the things that we discussed was that night after Kofi Kingston won the title, and I found Big E in a spot where it seemed like he was thinking about something, and I just pulled him aside and I say, hey man, don't worry about nothing, man. Your time coming. So you're gonna have your run, man. You trust me. And the thing is, I don't know if he fully believed it, but I say, trust me, you're gonna have your run. And now we're here, and hopefully he'll make the best of it. And actually, that's a conversation now. He didn't remember it until I said something about it. Then he goes, man, I remember you came up to me and said, hey man, you're gonna have your run. So a person speaking about someone like that can't wish any ill will on them having nothing but, like I say, great success.
And from my personal experience of seeing you around students, or even conversations that we have had, or whatever, you only will speak up about somebody, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but you only speak up about somebody and maybe give them a critique or two if you see great potential in them and actually care for them to succeed.
Trust me, I've seen a lot of guys out there that didn't have no promise at all, and I didn't say nothing about them. You know what I mean? Because they're going to think I'm knocking them. And the thing is, I probably would be. So I feel like I take myself out of that situation. My mama always told me, if you ain't got something good to say about somebody, don't say something at all. And that's what I try to think about when I'm, in that situation. But guys, stick around. We got a whole lot more to talk about. Hall of Fame, back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. This Sunday going down Summerslam at the Amway Center there in Orlando, Florida, going down this weekend. And I'm going to be a part of it. I will be there inside the building, going to do a 2-hour kickoff panel. And I'm looking forward to actually being out in an arena. I heard the thing is going to be something special, ThunderDome style, virtual fans, drone camera. I'm looking forward to being a part of SummerSlam and getting back in action. Hopefully this will be the kickoff. This will be the reboot for WWE, getting back to that place to where, fans are somewhat part of the show. So I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's going to be great. So they announced it yesterday. They're taking over the Amway Center. WWE is almost doing a residency of sorts, like you would in Las Vegas. They're taking up a residency over there at the Amway Center in Orlando, and they're calling it the ThunderDome. And I hear they're going to bring in these big screens, put them all where the arena is, and have virtual fans on the board. And I think this is great, honestly, because this is what the NBA has done in the bubble. Everything happens in a centralized source, and we have digital fans on the board who are reacting as if they're there. And it's really worked out well for them. When you watch an NBA game right now, you forget that it's not 20,000 people there. You're really involved in the action and the presentation of it. And this is going to allow WWE, like you said, with drone cams, to implement so many different camera angles, different viewpoints, different little things that we wouldn't normally see in a broadcast. So I like the idea. It's called the ThunderDome. That just gets me excited. It sounds like Mad Max Fury Road, and I'm ready to see what happens in it. Do you have any more details, or let me ask you this: what was your first reaction when you heard we're moving out of the PC, we're doing SummerSlam at the Amway Center?
Yeah. Of course, the rumor has been flying around for the past, couple of weeks as far as, they did not want to have the pay-per-view inside the PC. And I totally understand that, that be able to use a lot of the props that WWE have, PC is just not going to be big enough to be able to pull something off like that. But doing this at a arena, Amway, it's going to be, something different, to be able to bring those screens in, those LED boards, and have virtual fans there. And from what I was reading, you got to sign up to be a fan. So it's like it's going to be quite the spectacle. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how they pull this thing off. There again, the drone camera they was talking about, that's going to be something really, really cool. One thing we haven't had in quite some time is pyro. The entrance of the guys definitely has been something that's been lacking. So now having that pyrotechnics effect is going to give the show a whole lot different feel as well. You say the fans, it really doesn't affect you not having fans, watching NBA. But for me, it seemed like I'm watching, a pickup game. It seemed like I'm watching, a game at the gym, at some high school gym. That's the feel I'm getting from it, because I don't hear, fans, and there is no fan interaction. The guy isn't, trying to, save the basketball from going out of bounds and take the big jump like Dennis Rodman did, back in the day. That kind of stuff is missing from the game, and it seems a lot more, let's just say, docile. It doesn't seem like nobody want to get into a fight. The way the game.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you, but wrestling definitely needs some sort of audience. So if they can get, I don't know how many people are going to be on these screens. I don't know if they've said exactly, but if there's a few hundred people, even 1,000 people with reliable internet service who are able to audibly make noise when they see their favorite or least favorite performers, that's going to add to the ambiance and the environment tenfold. Because that's the thing. I remember when the WrestleMania event happened, and there was the triangle ladder match, the triple threat ladder match. And you could hear every bump and bruise that was happening to these guys. And it was a great match, but it didn't have the same feel that a WrestleMania ladder match would have. So I'm hoping that SummerSlam has more of a SummerSlam vibe than we have seen in some of these pay-per-views of the last couple months.
Yeah. I think no doubt it has to, just being in that atmosphere in that arena outside PC. It's definitely got to feel different. With myself being there live, for a panel, being able to put on a nice suit, being able to
closet full of them.
yeah, we'll have something real nice for the show. So I'm looking forward to actually doing that part right there, and being there. There again, I must say it is something that's you're still a little leery about.
Right.
So I'm definitely going to be taking precautions as far as, what am I going to be doing while I'm there? I'm going to make sure I'm still social distancing. I'll make sure, I do everything properly. I got to
have your Boomer Naturals mask on.
Exactly. I got to take a COVID test,
right.
Of course, to make sure, and then I got to, quarantine for a day. So it's a lot involved. It's a lot involved with going along with this thing for me to actually make it there. So I got to do my part. So I'm looking forward to actually being a part of this environment, just one more time. Hopefully we can get to there again, like they are in Wuhan right now. Well, you know what, man? I was just watching Pacquiao versus Juan Marquez.
I was watching it last night too. Yeah,
I was watching before.
Okay, I was watching too.
And you know what, man? I miss being a part of that crowd. I missed that, man. It seemed like it was so long ago that our life was like that. It really seemed like it was so long ago where we could stand shoulder to shoulder, screaming as loud as we want, and being a part of that festivities. And I hate being around crowds. I hate being around crowds unless it's a boxing match. It's crazy, and I'm missing that, and I cannot wait till we can kick it off like that again. Man.
It is funny. I was just thinking about, and I was talking to someone about this just yesterday, when we were at the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight, and we were walking out. We were leaving the MGM Grand Garden Arena, walking back to our hotel rooms, and there were all the European citizens who were visiting to cheer on Tyson Fury, going, "Oh, Tyson Fury!" Oh, and they were singing that song that they sing, and I was thinking, like, God, get me out of here! Like, I don't want to be around these people. And now I would do anything to go back and be at the same.
I stay there all night.
Yeah, I'll listen to whatever y'all want to sing.
That's the way I feel too, man.
It's funny too. You remember we were right before that fight. There's a quick story. Right before that fight, we were outside at the MGM getting fresh air, and there was this group of Europeans that walked up. They were Englishmen, and they're like, "Hey, Booker T, who you got tonight, Booker T?" And Booker, who was for Wilder, to everybody who came up to him, he's like, "Oh, I got Tyson Fury." You did it in an English accent. And then they walked away, and you're like, "I don't got Tyson Fury."
The contingency was way too large that day, man. I mean, it was swaying way not in our favor. And I was like, man, I'm not going to start no trouble because they're half of them, drinking. They're a little inebriated. I'm not going to say they were drunk or anything like that, but they definitely was a little tipsy. And Englishmen, man, they can be a little rowdy. So I said, let me just calm the situation. So give them an answer that I know they want to hear, and they'll move along quietly. So that's the way you handle certain situations, man. You got to know what kind of moment that you're having, because there again, it's a moment that you will never ever get back.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But
but create that atmosphere in Thunderdome, brother. It will be really good because I mean, for a while they had no crowd at all, and then they brought in the Performance Center people, and the Performance Center people added to the show. The trainees, the members of the NXT roster, they added to the show. But I think we talked about this before of how they are trained wrestlers and they've been around this show for long. They know what they're supposed to do for the match. Yeah. They're not giving the most genuine of reaction. So if you can have real fans who are lost in the story and are still able to emote and we can see them on screen, I think it's going to do a lot for the storytelling within these matches on Sunday.
I think so too, man. And there again, a lot of people in the chat line, you guys got comments that you want to put out there. If you got questions, definitely let me know, and I'll try to get to them. And we, like you said, we got a lot of people in the chat line right now. I want to thank you guys for riding along with Brad and I inside the Hall of Fame. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think what we're going to have to do, though, is get to some SummerSlam predictions before we go to the UFC talk for today, because this SummerSlam card's really interesting. I was looking at it today and I was thinking about a lot of these matches that are on there, and we can preview maybe one or two, but even everywhere from the Street Profits versus Andrade Angel Garza down to Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville in a hair versus hair match. There's a lot of stuff to like, Book. I think we're about time to go to break, but I got to get the two-time Hall of Famer. I got to get your reaction to some of these matches.
Yeah, especially Mandy Rose and Deville deal, man. I mean, I tell you, Sonya Deville seemed like she got more weave now than I ever seen in my life. I thought she was a sister for a second. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, that hair is looking good. You know what I mean? You say, and like you ask a woman, is that your real hair? And they go, bought and paid for, baby. Hey guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. I know I just said, man, if you guys got any comments or, got any questions, put them in there. And I know one I'm probably going to say, man, Book, you look tired. And, and the thing is, I got 10-year-old twins, just turned 10 on the 5th. And they both jumped into bed last night, and literally I got no sleep. I was sleeping on the edge of the corner. I guess about 5 o'clock this morning, I got up and just got on the sofa. And I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. I'm serious. I had such a long day yesterday working with the A&E people on this documentary, which is going to be really, really cool, guys. Get ready for that. But I'm like, man, I'm tired. That's the reason I look like this. There's no other reason. I'm just a little tired, but I feel good. So if you got any questions there again, let me have it.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to you. We're all a little bit tired. It's a long weekend. We enjoy what we saw, but let's talk about this weekend again. We were talking about SummerSlam 2020. It's going to be taking place in the WWE Thunderdome, and I want to pull up the card here. Here it is right now. What stands out to you, Book? What match are you most looking forward to on the 8 announced matches that we have for this Sunday's SummerSlam?
The one I'm most interested in, believe it or not, is Dominic versus Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
And the reason why I just want to see this kid finally perform. I want to see exactly what he's got, because I know I was one of the people that wanted to work with Dominic. I mean, I know he's supposed to come through Reality of Wrestling. I don't know what happens, but things happen. And I didn't get a chance to, get my hands on him or anything like that. Just to work with him to, give him certain little bitty, certain little points as far as how to go out there and make yourself look and feel more like a star when you're performing, as well as how do you make how do you make the fans feel a certain way when you want them to, what kind of emotion are you working on? That's what I like to work with when I get a young guy like a Dominic, and I know he's had good training. I do know that, but I want to see this kid get in the ring and show me something. I remember one of my kids named by the name of Gustavo Mendoza. He didn't look like he was going to be the best worker or anything like that. He sat on the sideline for a long time. And then when Gustavo finally got his chance, he showed me something. And he stayed in the ring from that day forward, and he became Reality of Wrestling champ for a full year straight. Nobody can beat him just because his psychology and his mindset was so far beyond most of the guys that were in the locker room. So that's what I want to see from Dominic. Even though still being a young kid, he can go out there and show me some little bitty traits that going to tell me this kid is going to be just as good or better than the old man. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in this pay-per-view more than anything.
I was thinking about this, and Dominic, there have been people who've made their debuts in WWE in the ring on a big platform. Some of the notable ones to me, like recently, remember we didn't see Fandango at all, and then he has a match with Jericho at WrestleMania. But it's still, Fandango had been around for a minute. He'd been working, under different names and on SmackDown, Velocity, whatever. I can't remember a guy who was coming in who wasn't a famous person prior. We're not talking about Tyson Fury or Cain Velasquez or anybody like that, who wasn't famous prior in a different sport or entertainment field, who's coming into WWE and having his first match against a top guy who's a former champion at the second biggest event of the year. I don't think that's ever happened before. And for Dominic, do you think that he is feeling just a massive amount of pressure to go out there and perform in his first match?
Of course. Yeah. Of course, it's something that he's going to be thinking about. It's something that's in his head right now, knowing that, man, I'm going to go out here and make my, worldwide television debut in front of the world. Couldn't have a better person in the ring working with, I think, other than Seth Rollins. I know Seth knows his job, but this is going to be one of those things to where this kid's got to go out there and perform. And the thing is, he's going to be performing without a net. Like this is not a tape show or anything like that. And
right.
That there is a whole lot of pressure. And I say that because, I'm a guy that's been in the business many, many years, and a guy that had been in the business many years when I had to do Monday Night Raw live television or Monday Night Nitro live television. The pressure for Nitro was one thing. All I had to do was wrestle. But when I came to WWE Monday Night Nitro, I had to entertain and wrestle. And that's what Dominic is right now. He's going to have to go out in that ring. And of course, the wrestling has to be there, but he's going to have to learn how to entertain very, very quickly. And this is no rehearsal or anything like that.
No.
This is the real deal. And I'm looking to see exactly how far Dominic Mysterio has come over these last couple of years. It's just as far as being able to go out there in the ring and being able to manage. I'm not looking for Dominic to be a general in the ring or anything like that, but he definitely have to be a private first class in order to be able to understand what's going on.
I think that you 100% summed it up perfect there, because I don't think that there's any other art form out there that doesn't have a proper rehearsal before a big show, right? You might talk through what you're going to do tonight, but you're not going to go out there and do the match 100% all the way through, full contact, and then go out there and do it a second time. You got one shot. Even Saturday Night Live, they have a full dress rehearsal with an audience before they go live, and they cut stuff out and change things last minute. I can't even imagine. And I'm not trying to add any pressure to Dominic. I'm sure he's got a lot, but just the pressure to perform. And like you said, he got Seth out there, but I cannot even imagine that being the first place that you are seen on a grand scale. Now, he has been on Raw as of late, and I can tell you, man, they put some good lashings on that boy. Did you see his back and chest?
Yeah.
Welcome to the business, Dominic.
Welcome to the party, pal. That's what he said. He said on Die Hard, welcome to the party, pal. Yeah, I mean, that's what Bruce Willis said. But yeah, man, it was an initiation. You know what I mean? It was like being in a game. He got jumped in. You know what I mean? And he had all the bumps and bruises to show for it. But the kid went out there and he took it like a man. That right there lets me know a little bit of something about Dominic. It let me know that, man, he's willing to, you know, take his bumps, you know, to be a part of the game. You know, and you know, I'm saying that, you know, cliche, you know, being in a gang and taking his bumps, you know, getting jumped in, but it is kind of like that. You know, this is not ballet. And for someone who saw the beating of Dominic and think that this is, you know, some fake sport and that they can go out there and do the same thing, all you got to do is try it at home. No, but don't try it at home.
Definitely don't that. Now, the last time, I could be wrong, but the last time that we saw Dominic Mysterio at SummerSlam, do you know when that was, Book?
No.
So this was the last time that we saw Dominic Mysterio at SummerSlam in WWE. The custody of Dominic ladder match that happened at SummerSlam, I believe, 05, between Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Look at Dominic there. And 15 years later, he's going to be taking on Seth Rollins. That was the last time we saw Dominic at SummerSlam.
Man, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like I say, this kid is he's in a hell of a position. He's got huge footsteps to follow. And that right there is definitely something I know he's willing and up to the job to go out there and try to be able to pull off, because as a kid, you know, this is not anything new to Dominic or anything like that. But as far as trying to live up to that legacy of his dad, I'm sure that's something that's going to always be in the back of his mind. But there again, you look at this photo 15 years ago. I always say something. You know, preparation is the only luck you're ever going to have, and this kid has been preparing for this moment for a very, very long time. I remember my first pay-per-view myself, being a green kid, only 2 years into the business, and Dominic been around it a whole lot longer than I have. 2 years into the business, I was making my walk here in Houston, Texas, and War Games in the main event with, you know, Sid Vicious and Big Van Vader. And the Big Van Vader, he asked me the same question that a lot of people are going to be asking Dominic. And that question was, do you really think that you're ready for this moment? And my answer to Big Van Vader then was, man, I've been preparing for this for the last 2 years. Of course, I'm ready. And I went out on that night and proved that I was ready to be in that position. And I'm sure Dominic is, you know, no different. I'm sure he's been preparing, you know, highly anticipating this moment right here that's to come. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, this kid go out and do well. Yeah.
I am as well, Book. And again, you're going to be there Sunday at SummerSlam. We got more matches to get to, but if you're going to be traveling at all, like you are, you got to stay protected. You got to have a good face covering, and we have a great one, Book. We have a great one.
Do it.
Naturals.
Hey, Brad, one of the biggest changes we're all dealing with right now is wearing a mask, and not all offer the same comfort and protection. I recommend the Boomer Natural 3-layer comfortable and highly breathable mask. These come in sizes for adults, teens, and children, and are in stock, can be shipped to you quick.
Yeah, Book, one of the reasons they're so highly protective is because of the nano silver technology that's literally woven right into the fabric. Nano Silver can block those tiny drops and particles from getting into the nose and mouth, and that's what we want right now. It's the best protection out there. Boomer also offers the popular Nano Silver neck gaiters. That's a mask that'll cover your neck and face. Another great thing is that Boomer will donate one face cover for every order to nonprofits and charities, helping tens of thousands of Americans in need. And I got to say, I love that.
Yeah, order now at boomernaturals.com. Use promo code Booker and save 20%. That code Booker at boomernaturals.com. Get free shipping and handling when you spend at least $50 online at boomernaturals.com. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer, and this is for all up-and-coming professional wrestlers, male and female. You want to know the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts. You got a question, I got the answer. If you want to know how, join my masterclass. Go to realityofwrestling.com for all the information. Starting on Thursday and every Thursday after that, guys. Don't miss out. Don't get shut out. And I know you can dig that.
The Academy.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. We're talking Summerslam going down, ThunderDome going down this Sunday. And I can't wait to get there at Orlando, Florida, Amway Arena. It's going to be something special. 5 months it's been since we've actually done anything WWE-wise inside of an arena like this. So I'm looking forward to actually getting out there and having some fun.
That's going to be awesome. Do you know who's going to be on the panel with you? Any Hall of Famers, any special guests?
I just know myself, Renee Young. I know Charlie Caruso is going to be there. JBL is going to be there also. I don't know if Peter Rosenberg or somebody may be a part of it also. I think.
Yeah. They always sometimes bring a special guest out for SummerSlam. But you know what? We were talking about it for a second, and I guess first off, I should say I'm glad that she's okay. Sonya Deville. I don't know if you saw that story. I know you did. You saw the story that happened over the weekend with her. It looks like everything is fine with her, and that guy's going to get what's coming to him. So glad that. But I've always been a sucker for the gimmick match of some kind. And a hair versus hair match is old school. It's real old school. We know Bruce Pritchard pitched it at Reality Wrestling like 1,000,000 times, 100 million times.
Pitched it to me and Edge also. That's how the shampoo, contract came about. Because he asked me, and I'm like, oh, is Edge cutting his hair? Because I'm not cutting mine. Crazy. So
I'm sure this might be a Bruce Pritchard one. I can't confirm that. I cannot confirm it. Maybe I'll text him and ask him.
Yeah.
But I am interested in Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville, hair versus hair, because it's not so often you see the ladies in that kind of stipulation. And, Mandy and Sonya have been going at it for a while now, several months on SmackDown. So I'm actually excited to see this one. I don't know what to expect, but I'm in for it.
No, I mean, Sonya Deville has been very, very vocal as of late. She says she wants to be the face of the WWE. And the thing is, I've got a little bit of a background with Sonya as well as Mandy. I'm from Tough Enough. Both of them went out and they were standouts as far as Tough Enough go. They both went out there and was willing to push themselves the extra mile. Yeah, but I'm looking to see exactly how this thing turned out because people have been wondering about Mandy for quite some time. Of course, there again. Somewhat like Trish Stratus. She's a very beautiful girl. She can go out there and she's a head turner immediately. When you see Mandy Rose, you go, what? Who is that? Just because she is striking. But there again, in order for Mandy to move up the card, she's going to have to be able to go out there and show me something in the middle of that square circle, just like a Trish Stratus did. Look at the Iconics, and they're somewhat similar the same way. Both of them can work, but you got to be able to go out there and bring it to the next level. So I'm waiting and anticipating this match right here more than anything because we could have a breakout star in the women's locker room after this match right here. They got to show me something. Both of them. They got to go out and show me something. They got the perfect opportunity, the perfect stage to be able to go out there and when it's all over with, when it's all said and done, Monday is going to be the final point where we get the answer. Monday is going to be the day where people are talking about what happened on Sunday. And if they ain't talking about Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, we got a problem.
Let me ask you this, though, because I agree with everything that you said. So who gets their head shaved? Because to me, the obvious answer would be Sonya Deville, right? Because it just seems like she's the heel. You said she's got, what'd you say? You thought she was a sister because she had so much weave in? That's what, those are Booker's words. Please, internet, don't kill me. Please don't kill me. But it seems to be the obvious pick, which makes me think Mandy Rose might get her head shaved. Who do you think gets their haircut on Sunday?
I don't know, man. I've never been great at predicting these type of matches. I don't know how good Mandy would look with a bald head. Sonya Deville, she's got a rough edge, so to speak. Who would look the best?
Her background.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it would bother her as much if she did get her hair cut. So I don't know. I don't know who's gonna come out on top, because every time I've made a prediction as far as wrestling goes, I've been wrong every time. So I'm not going to even try to predict it.
Let's look at a couple other matches on the card, some top ones. What other one sticks out to you? You got Apollo Crews and MVP for the title. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton for the championship. We've talked about that one. Fiend Bray Wyatt, Bayley Asuka, and Sasha Asuka. What sticks out to you?
Well, the MVP Apollo thing, for me, there again, of course, Street Profits. Angel Garza, Andrade, those guys are going to go out there. Hopefully that's going to be a great match. Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, of course, those guys, they're going to do what they do. And me personally, I'm always looking to, see exactly what can we develop from what's going on. Not just the guys in the main event and their stories. I look at a guy like Apollo, and Apollo, this is Apollo's opportunity. Apollo has had more time this last month than he's probably had his whole time in the company, as far as being able to go out there and get over. Okay. And that right there, a lot of times it's going to be up to whether the fans buy into you. Now, what I noticed just this past week, and I'm wondering if it's going to play out and, we're going to get a little bit more of it. Somewhat like, kind of like what I was talking about with Big E. I watched, Apollo this week, and when he came out of the curtain, Apollo looked just like the Apollo that I have seen since his arrival in the WWE. He had to smile, his talk was pretty much normal, and then he got to a point where he flipped the script there, and he looked like a totally different. He looked like a brother on the street when you piss him off, and all of a sudden everything's become real. I saw that switch get flipped with Apollo this week, very, very briefly. And I'm just hoping that Apollo can bring a little bit more of that emotion to the table, because people there, again, in the wrestling business, they can only see it. They can't feel it. You got to make them feel it. And I think this angle right here is going to let us know how far Apollo is going to move up the ladder in WWE. He has all the potential. He has all the in-ring prowess to be able to go out there and pull it off. But it's gonna take there again his Shakespearean Romeo and Juliet, Phantom of the Opera aspects of the game to be able to move to that next level. And there again, I think Apollo can do it, because with WWE, it's a thing called character building. And Apollo had been out there on the independent scene for so many years, and he had, no knowledge of character building, because he didn't have to. All he had to do was just go out there and perform at a very high level. And no doubt he can go out there and do that. But when you get to WWE, it's a switch that you got to be able to flip in order for people to be able to go, man, this guy's good. And I was just talking about it just yesterday. You got to be able to laugh at yourself. You got to be able to make fun of yourself sometimes. But then again, sometimes you got to take yourself very, very serious and go out there and make people see you as something, in their eyes that they want to see, not what you want to be sometime. And I'm just saying that. And I think Apollo has the ability to be able to go out there and do that, especially with someone like MVP. Hopefully they'll be able to go out there and pull it off.
Yeah, MV is such a veteran of the game, and I think you and I both agree he's entered the next step and the next level in this game. And then I'm with you on Apollo, because on paper, if he can, like you said, flip that switch on a regular basis, and again, I don't want anyone thinking, oh, here they go telling him to change exactly who he is. But if he can flip that script or that switch on a regular basis and show me this fire that he somewhat did on Monday, and I've seen him do it a couple other occasions where he really fires up. This guy could work toward the top of the card, because no one has ever doubted his ability inside the ring. I mean, he's phenomenal. He can do everything that any guy at any level can do. He's got some size to him. He might not be the tallest guy in stature, but he's got size. He looks good. He's got broad shoulders. He has a good body. He looks good. And if he can go out there, a championship looks good on him. I got to tell you, that U.S. title, it fits him. He looks good with the title. And a lot of this is the eye test. A lot of this business is the eye test. He looks good with the title. So if he can make me, not just me, so many like me, the fans, if he can make the fans believe that he can kick somebody's man, sky's the limit. It really is. And I mean that, because UHA Nation, when he came in, there were already talks amongst us internet fans, book, this guy is next world champion. That was what his buzz was coming in. And I think he could reach to a level. And I think the U.S. title, MV right now, this is the perfect position for him to be in order to get to the next phase of his career.
Yeah. This is it. You get the opportunity. It's going to be up to you whether you go out there and cash in on it. I mean, a lot of times, we hear guys, I didn't, they didn't have anything. They're not writing anything for me. Sometimes you got to go out there and write your own script. And a lot of times that takes just going out there and getting over with the fans. And there again, this could be that one opportunity that you have to actually be able to do that. So for me, there again, you give me the TV title and I'm supposed to drop it to somebody in the next couple of weeks, and we just making the transition. We about to throw a monkey in the wrench, all right? Because ain't nobody get this title back, So you got to know how to put yourself in that position, and then keep yourself in that position at the same time. Hey guys, stick around. More Hall of Fame back in a minute. Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame.
Now you're up. Now you're with us. Bro, you're rocking now, book.
Yeah, man. I've been drinking this Juan Valdez since we started, man. I had to get something to kick.
So he's off Juan.
I got to call him grind beans, and now I can grind it, to my perfect perfection, So I'm back with the Juan Valdez. And that is $1, man. $1.
Hold on, we got a super chat in here right now. I think we should get to before we move on, from our guy AJRX. He said Booker T's theme song is one of the best ever, highly underrated. Hogan, Savage, Brett, Warrior, Nash had great songs, but only Flair and Booker T had the same song in both WCW and WWE. Booker, do you own the rights to the song?
Man, I don't, man. That's some music that WCW back in the day found in the archives. And then when I went to WWE, I really needed that music. And they purchased the rights to that music. WWE purchased the rights for me to be able to use that music as well. I don't know if they bought it, outright, but I definitely could not have gone through my career with any other music than that song. I remember at one point they tried to change my music in WWE, and they had me coming out to a rap song that I had.
Can you dig it?
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, man, this ain't working for me. This ain't working. I said, Vince, I need my old music back, please. And he said, all right, just roll with it for another, 3 weeks to a month, and we'll get you back. But and I understood that because we was promoting the album.
Right.
I was like, all right, I could do that. But I tell you, I did not feel nowhere near the same Booker T walking out to that music than I did walking out to Harlem Heat music that I've had seared in my brain for so many years. And that song, when I first heard it, I knew that was the song that I wanted, and that was the song that I needed, because that song, it didn't stereotype Harlem Heat. When you heard that song right there, you knew it was Harlem Heat, and no matter what color you was, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, you was gonna start rocking. You was gonna be like, yeah, oh, here we go. And that music right there, that's why I always talk to young people. You got to know, the method to all the madness along that track. You can't slip on a banana peel and that happened for you. So that music for my brother and I was by design.
Let me ask you this, because even though it's the same song, for Harlem Heat and Booker T, there is one difference there. In the Booker T WWE version, it starts with the "Can you dig it?" It's like right, and then in the Harlem Heat one, it's yes, 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 no, 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 right. Which one do you like better?
I like the first one better. I mean, yes. Yeah, because you always was wondering, what, and that actually, the yes, 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 no, 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 had a big part of me going,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my! I never thought about that.
Yeah.
When you would come out and look at your hand, and for the radio people, and
I'll go here, and I'll go here, I'll go here, boom, and I'll go there. Yeah, but that's what that was for along that track. Yeah,
my mind just got blown. I've known you for so long, and I never knew that.
Oh man, it's always subliminals. You always got to put a subliminal in the message.
Wow.
People actually understand, and they go, "Wow, why did he do that?" You know what I mean? Why did he look at his hand? So all the the little bit of things that I picked up along the way, I tried to use them somehow, and that music actually correlated with the hand and the head shake.
Well, I'm thrown off now. That is so. But then, you know what? That tells you how much you have to put into a character. Especially an entrance. How long did you have to work on your entrance in WWE? Like, when they come out, the pyro, the sequencing, was it a lot? Did you have any input into it? Did you say, hey, I want flames?
Well, my my intro came from WCW.
Right.
It never really changed. It just got bigger when I got to WWE. And the only thing that they wanted to do was make sure the pyro correlated with me jumping on one leg. So every time I jumped on one leg, boom, that's when the pyro would go off. As well as being WWE opposed to WCW, they wanted to make the pyro bigger than they could possibly, imagine. So I used to love it when I would be engulfed, in the flames for a second when the pyro would go off in the beginning. Man, they really made me look good as far as that go. I give them a lot of props for that.
How hot are those flames? Are hot, right? Like you can feel it on the back of your neck, right?
Yeah, it gets really, really hot up there, and but that's what really kick you in overdrive. That's what really make you feel like you have made it, and you finna go out here and do something very, very special and unique tonight. It gave me that extra edge that I needed, and I think in WWE, literally top 5 intros in the company of all time. I think, of course, one of my favorite was Stone Cold Steve Austin come out in the glass breaking. Outside of that, I remember Chris Jericho back in the day, when Y2J first came out and break the water. I mean, I love that intro right there. But it's been very few intros that I can really say that I liked a whole lot more than Booker T's.
Yeah, I mean, as far as just iconic entrances go, there's probably only a top 10 list of just names that you can see their entrance right when it comes to your head. Obviously, Taker comes to mind, but his is like the pageantry of the lights and the pyro and the lightning and the fog and the slow walk. I'm trying to think of who else. Kane comes to mind. Triple H has always had a good one. Aside from that, I can't.
King Booker had a pretty good one also.
King Booker, of course, yeah. King Booker had a good. You know what? An iconic entrance, and he didn't have to do much, but an iconic entrance is the Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior, great.
Just the straight sprint to the ring. I mean, there are a few that come to mind. And you know what? I gotta give love. Punk had a good one. When you hear that, look in my, and you hear the Cult of Personality, and he did the
that had a unique feel to it as well. But very few guys have had intros where people can really look back and go, man, that was awesome. When that guy came out the curtain. And for me, there again, being a drum major back in the day, being the leader of the band and tuning the band up, making sure everybody's ready. That's all I did when I came out. I was just tuning the band, which was the fans, letting them know that we're getting ready to kick this parade off, and you're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy every bit of it. So I loved the aspect of walking out of the curtain, other than the butterflies and being so scared and nervous walking out that curtain. But once the pyro went off, man, I was in my zone, and I was ready to do whatever. I couldn't mess up after I did the pyro and made the walk. Everything else just was second nature.
Man, I'm going to be thinking about this for the rest of the day. You know how many times I've done this and I had no idea that's what it was? Oh, that's so crazy. Yeah. Should we talk about, do we do any more SummerSlam, or do we need to talk about UFC stuff?
Because we got to get in the UFC, man.
An hour left.
Yeah, UFC is definitely something we got to jump into. The vacating of the light heavyweight championship. Jon Jones has finally pulled the trigger. And the thing is, I wondered if Jon Jones was going to pull the trigger and say, man, I can't do this no more. And the thing is, if it comes down to just money, and that's the reason why he's pulling out, me personally, I feel like it's got to be a little bit more than that. I could be wrong. But I feel like Jon Jones is one of the most well-compensated UFC fighters in the UFC. He's always had a bargaining chip as far as how good he is and whatnot. He's a guy that's gone out and delivered in the ring. Jon Jones' stock has fallen outside of the ring, more importantly than anything. I think Jon Jones would be a much bigger marquee brand if not for the outside, antics and what has happened with him. Should we look at Jon Jones differently because of what has gone on outside of his career? That's going to always be up for debate. And one thing, let's think about it. One thing about the champions of the game that have gone down to be one of those guys history making. They normally have some integrity about themselves, and the thing, and I say that because I look at Mike Tyson's career. And Mike Tyson, I think, would be a much huge name without the bite incident with Evander Holyfield. You know what I mean? I really do. Definitely, if Mike Tyson hadn't, end up going to prison, I think Mike Tyson will be, on the level. Not that he isn't, but perhaps even a bigger level than someone like Muhammad Ali for this era. But one thing about it, he's always going to have to deal with those outside issues. And I say that because I was told when I got in the business, you got to be champion in the ring as well as out of the ring all the time. And trust me, I know how hard that is to be on your P's and Q's, not wanting to take a drink, not wanting to, just party and let your hair down. I know how hard that is, but that's the responsibility that we put upon ourselves when we got young people looking up to us. And I think that's the only thing that has hurt Jon Jones. But him vacating the title, that's something that we definitely got to talk about. We got to take a quick break. So stick around, guys. We will be back in a momento. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Right now, we talking a little bit of UFC. Jon Jones vacating the light heavyweight championship. What is to become now of the light heavyweight division? Is it going to be a tournament? Whatnot? What's to happen to Jon Jones after this? I mean, he's still a relatively young guy. He's got a little time where he can sit this thing out and try to let it play out. But I don't think he can sit it out too long, because out of sight is out of mind. As well as, one thing about a fighter, we know the older a fighter get, the more he regresses as far as his fighting skills. Jon Jones has been an extraordinary talent, but I don't see sitting on the sidelines too long is going to help him.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things that you've said thus far that I want to talk about. First off, about his pay. Right. I mean, this is why he said he's talked to the UFC again. He voiced his frustrations, I think, back in April or May. We were talking about it on the show. It was with him and Jorge and a few guys at the time were talking about their pay. Connor, I think, was another one. And John said he wanted Deontay Wilder money. And Deontay Wilder gets paid a lot. But do you know why Deontay Wilder gets paid so much more than Jon Jones? Is not because he's necessarily a bigger star. He's a safer investment. When you think about paying somebody, you want to think, what's going to be my return on this investment? And if I'm Dana White, no disrespect to Jon Jones, he is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, mixed martial artist of all time. But those outside the ring antics you were talking about would make me trepidatious for spending a lot of money, not just on his salary to fight, on marketing, on television, on press, interviews, venue, flying people out, all the expenses that come with promoting a fight. It would make me a bit trepidatious. Now, has he, as of late, seemed to have cleaned up a bit? Well, we thought, and then he got arrested for a DUI or a public intoxication, whichever it was, just a couple months ago during the pandemic. So if I'm Dana White, that frightens me a little bit. And look, man, if you don't think Dana White wants to make Stipe versus Jon Jones or Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou, you're out of your mind. Of course, he would love to make those fights. But I think that Dana really does have to take into consideration, is my money going to be safe with this man? I don't know. And I think that's why Jon isn't getting paid as much as he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree as far as being a liability. Being a guy that can go out there and, the rails just, you just jump off the rails. I mean, when you have to move a whole show from one city to another city because of one man and the drug testing and whatnot, it's a problem. It really is. And a lot of times, it's not like we haven't seen it before, just for instance, in football, you get a guy like, for instance, Michael Irving from back in the day, who was great at what he did.
Phenomenal.
But his off the field antics is what, literally took him out of the game. It wasn't anything that he did on the field, just like Jon Jones. It's everything that he did outside, of the game. So I'm rooting for Jon Jones to actually, perhaps come back, finish this thing off, create that legacy that I know that he want to leave in the UFC, because there again, I to this day have not seen someone come into a sport and be so dynamic and take the game by storm in such a short time. That was Jon Jones. I've been watching this sport since the initiation back in the early 90s, and I have not seen one guy, especially one black guy, to come into that sport and dominate mixed martial arts, because that's normally not that's normally not our world. Okay, I'm just saying it. Not that we don't participate in mixed martial arts and in combat and fighting and whatnot, but the majority of black people, I do not think, is out there trying to think about their jujitsu, their sambo and all. It's just not the majority. Not that we haven't had some great ones, but to come along in this sport, in which the UFC is like it's like an international sport. Okay, the greatest fighters come from all parts of the world, and a lot of times it's not from the United States. So when I see someone from the United States and he's a black guy and he's doing it like that in the UFC, it tells me a whole lot about how good this guy really is. And that's the only place I'm going with the Jon Jones and him being black issue, because
right.
And for him to not totally leave the game, making history in so many different ways, being that guy, it definitely would be a travesty, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think we see Jon Jones fight again. I think there's no question about it. It's just win in what division. It's not going to be in lightweight, I think, or light heavyweight, because you're not going to give up the title if you aren't done with that division. And I think that he's done. He's done it at light heavyweight. They said, I saw a stat on Twitter today, it's been like 30, I think it was 3,500 days since there's been a UFC light heavyweight champion not named Jon Jones or Daniel Cormier. 3,500 days. Think about how long that is. That's an incredible run. And I think that he might be, in his mind, there might be a couple things here. I think he looks at the competition at 205 and he's thinking, these guys are really good, but they're not really well known. So I could risk going out there and losing, because I think he lost to Dominic Reyes. Anyone can say what they want. I think he lost to Dominic Reyes. So I can risk out there and I can go out there and risk losing to a guy who's not a huge pay-per-view draw, so my money's not going to be great. Or I can just vacate this title and wait for Dana to call me to fight Stipe, Francis, JDS, Jardinho Rosenstrike, Derek Lewis, any of those guys who we all want to see him fight and would pay more money than to see a rematch with Dominic Reyes. I think that that's his play here, and I understand it. As far as what happens with the 205 title, I know Dominic Reyes and Jan Blachowicz are going to be fighting soon on a fight night. Make that for the championship. Just go ahead and do it. They're probably 2-3 right now, so go ahead and do that. That's at least what I think right now.
You know, I see it, another way as well. Jon Jones, 6'5".
Yeah,
he's not a small guy at all. Normally, when you're 6'5", you're carrying well over 225 pounds normally. Right. And I'm sure Jon Jones is a guy. There again, he's getting older, and your body matures. You get bigger as you get older. I'm sure it's hard for him to even think about, trying to stay close to that weight and not be in competition, not be fighting anyone, to walk around at 200 pounds when I know I don't have to, and it's a steak over here and a cheeseburger. I'm serious. I'm gonna opt in, the cheeseburger and the steak. So there again, him sitting around and waiting, not knowing exactly what's going to happen, still trying to stay around that 205 mark is not something that's conducive to a guy that want to party and live life. It's just not. And I think that could have a whole lot to do with it, as well as, if I do come back, what difference is going to make? I'm going to be a heavyweight anyway. So I might as well just campaign, on the out season outside of the ring at heavyweight, so it's a choice there for Jon Jones, and the choice it's a, I would imagine it's a hard choice, for him to sit on the sideline and say, hey man, it's going to be this way, but getting Deontay Wilder money, I really think that's a thought that he should definitely put out of his head, because that's not going to happen for any UFC fighter in this day and age right now, until some collective bargaining start happening, until something get unionized, or these guys start getting promoters of their own, agents, whatnot, to negotiate their deals for them. It's never going to be like that in the UFC until something like that happens. So there again, if you want big money in this game, you got to follow the blueprint of one Irishman by the name of Conor McGregor. And you saw what Conor got his money from. He got his money from the boxing world.
Yeah.
And it was a huge bag that he walked away with. Money that he will be able to live off for the rest of his life. And if that's the case for someone like Jon Jones, maybe he's going to have to, pull something like that as well. But, how many guys are going to be willing to fight Jon Jones, in his world? And how many how many guys could Jon Jones beat in their world?
Yeah, but here's the thing though. If he wants to make Deontay Wilder money, sign me up. I'll fly to Abu Dhabi if you tell me I can see Jon Jones versus Deontay Wilder in a boxing ring. Let's do it right now. Book it right now. Deontay's like, hey, I can get a win back pretty quickly because, it's just a new sport. But that would be a very interesting matchup, especially from a striking perspective. I would like to see that. I'd pay for that one, Book.
Yeah, I pay to see it too. I mean, I don't think Jon Jones will fare well at all.
No.
But I would pay to see it, as well as there goes that check that Jon Jones was looking for the whole time. So it's a win-win situation if something like that was to happen. And there again, just like you said, I'd pay to see it. I don't care if they go to Abu Dhabi. They can go to Saudi Arabia.
I'm going.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be on a flight to check it out. But guys, stick around. We got a little bit more to talk about. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. I'm talking UFC right now. Hey, man, let's continue rolling down the UFC track. Sugar Sean O'Malley suffered his first loss inside the octagon to Marlon Vera due to, I don't know, man, a bad wheel. I was reading the medical report that the x-rays came back negative. They were still waiting on the MRI report. To see if there is some damage going on inside there or not. But there again, man, hard luck, man, just hard luck. Going down like that. Sean O'Malley, he's not the biggest guy. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a whole lot of meat on his bones or anything like that. But the guy he's definitely good at what he does. But the fight game, man, as many kicks as O'Malley throw. And my concept has always been, again, I don't know. I've never been in a combat sport or anything like that. I've been in a lot of fights, and I know a lot of times if I hit somebody, it might hurt my hand a little bit, especially if you hit them the wrong way, especially if you hit them in the top of the head or something like that. So when you hit someone, kick someone, you feel some of the effects of it, maybe not as much. But over a period of time, even your bumps and bruises, got to add up. Even, over a period of time, the calcium deposit, even though you won that fight, from throwing so many punches, the calcium deposit got to, mount up. It's just something that happens. And then to watch a guy like Sean O'Malley go out and seem like he was in total control of this fight until one leg kick from Marlon Vera to the knee, like right behind the knee. It literally kind of like wrapped behind the knee. It seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like that's when the problem started for Sean O'Malley. And he seemed like he was totally unable to control his posture just because that foot, it was going. And I saw Michael Chandler in Bellator, that same thing. And he couldn't control, he couldn't stand up, he couldn't walk on it, he kept rolling over every time. Do you think this injury, an injury like this, is going to linger for Sean O'Malley? I tell you, Michael Chandler seemed to have come back pretty strong after he. But do you think something like this is going to hinder a Sean O'Malley just because there again, he's not a big guy, he's a skinny guy, and And the thing is, the fight's not going to get any easier. Marlon Vera wasn't winning this fight by any means. It seemed
Marlon Vera wasn't even ranked.
It seemed like he was about to get stopped before what happened. But do you think this is going to have a lingering effect for Sean O'Malley, a guy there again got the rocket put on him coming into the UFC? I mean, he had huge hype behind this guy to actually literally find himself at this young stage of his career in the co-main event of a pay-per-view like this. What do you think it's going to do to his career?
For his career, it definitely stops his momentum. As far as the Sugar Show, he was all you ever heard for a little while from a lot of MMA pundits and fans. But if this is an Achilles injury, like it could be, I know they're still trying to rule stuff out and figure out exactly what it is. But I know an Achilles injury, an orthopedic surgeon, described it to me one time as taking a Coke can, like a can of Coca-Cola, smashing it, and then pulling it back out and getting all the dents out. He said, sure, it might look like it's the same, and for the most part, it has the same shape, but its integrity is compromised. Even if you fully recover from that Achilles at any moment, boom, it can go again. Just because that's what kind of tendon it is in your leg. So if that's what it ends up being for Sean O'Malley, that's going to be really tough for him because, like you said, his competition, especially at bantamweight, or if he moves up at 145 and fighting at flyweight, or moves down featherweight, or moves down and fights at flyweight, any way he looks at it, he's got stiff competition that only gets harder and harder and harder for him. So I worry about it. I hope that everything's okay, but I understand that this man got injured. I don't know did you see what Ben Askren said about him?
No, I didn't.
One of the dumbest things I think I've seen any educated mind say. Let me see if I can pull up the quote. Here it is right here. Ben Askren quote. Here it is. So he said about Sean O'Malley being carted off on a stretcher. He said, it's a fist fight. Deal with that S. Deal with it. It's a fist fight. He said, I'm saying he shouldn't have done that. It's a fist fight. Yes, O'Malley was obviously in pain. Listen, if you don't have the expectation that you're going to be in pain when you get into a fist fight, you've got some bad expectations. And he said that it was embarrassing for Sean O'Malley to go off on a stretcher and he needs to grow up. I don't understand the angle on that one for Ben Askren, a guy who got slept in 4 seconds. Like, I don't know what his thinking is on that. And I got a lot of respect for Ben and what he's done in the amateur wrestling world, and he has a lot of knowledge when it comes to that. But this, to me, seems to be out of step and out of bounds.
Well, I've been watching the fight game for a long time, and there again, just like Ben Askren said, fighters fight with through pain all the time. Fighters fight through being hurt all the time, but there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. When you're injured, that means something just popped, and you're debilitated in a way that you can't go on and fight properly. And I say that because I'm in the professional wrestling game, and there again, I took a hip toss and popped my groin. And I went to get up, and it felt like someone stuck a knife in my groin area, and I laid back down, and I said, you count me out. Because I knew that I was injured and I could not perform even if I wanted to. Now, I give Sean O'Malley a lot of credit because he knew that he was injured and he still tried to fight through that pain. It got to a point to where he couldn't even hold himself up and he went down, and then, Vera, finished him off. I think Herb Dean just had the wherewithal, understanding, and know-how to say, hey, this thing is over. I'm going to take you out of the equation as far as having to tap or stop or help stop you. So what Ben Askren is talking about is beyond me, especially coming from a fighter, especially a fighter that's been, injured. Someone could say the same about him.
He had to have a hip replacement. He's had injury. He knows what it's like to have something that would limit your mobility to the point of you can't athletically perform to the best of your abilities. And I don't see any shame or embarrassment in Sean O'Malley being stretchered off. I think Sean O'Malley was probably thinking, let me not act like a tough guy and let me think about the future. Because if I try to get up and be macho and walk to the back of this thing, I could further damage it.
Well, let's look at it like this here. Maybe Sean O'Malley couldn't walk.
Maybe he just couldn't walk. Yeah.
The thing is, of course, he could have limped. He could have had, one guy under, one arm and another guy on the other, and they limped him or got some crutches. But that wouldn't have served any purpose. Sean O'Malley went out the way he should have gone out. And the thing is, this gladiator warrior mentality, a lot of times in the fight game, of course, that's the way a lot of these guys think. But there again, I'm of the suspicion as when you're hurt, you can go all day, but when you're injured, you gotta take a step back and know when you're injured. And I say that also because there's a lot of guys in the wrestling business that's gotten injured and they've powered through it. You know what I mean? It's a macho mentality. It's one of those blood and gut, type of deals. It's a warrior mentality. But for me, every time I've been injured, I say, hey, I'm tapping. I'm gonna call it right now because that could further the injury. That can make it even harder to recover from the injury and come back. That might make your surgery even that much more intense because you said, hey, I'm gonna push through this thing. I don't know, man. It's kind of like,
No, I was just wondering this over the weekend because I listened to Chris Jericho did a podcast where he was talking about that night that it was him and Benoit versus Austin and Triple H on Raw. And that was the night Triple H tore his quad. And Jericho, the referee said to Jericho, hey, Triple H tore his quad. And then Jericho said to Triple H, because their spot was going to be on an announce table doing the walls of Jericho, which literally pulls right back on your quadricep muscles. And Jericho asked Triple H, hey, do you still want to do the spot or we can kill it? We can do something else. And Triple H said, do the spot. We got to do it. So with a torn quadricep, he's still getting this walls of Jericho, and he was out for 9 months. And you wonder if he just didn't do that one spot and he would have tapped out, powdered out, and went to the back, if his recovery time would have been quicker. Now, kudos to Triple H. It's a boss move to do, and it's what y'all do as wrestlers. But I'm thinking the same thing of, I wonder how much more he injured himself by being out there.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he possibly and probably did make it even that much worse. And then if you remember, he walked to the back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He limped to the back, but and you knew he was injured. And there again, I understand. I get it. But there again, also there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. And if you're injured, I'm not gonna cry foul at all as far as one taking the route to say, hey, let's stop this and live to fight another day. So yeah, Sean O'Malley, hopefully he'll get back on track. Hopefully he'll find that fighting style, that fighting spirit back again. But definitely it's going to be something that's hard for him. Hopefully the MRI come back negative as well, and it just was debilitating nerve or something like that at the time. So we'll find out here real soon. But guys, stick around. We got a little bit more to talk about. DC in that trilogy fight with Stipe Miocic. Stick around. We'll be back in a minute. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer, and this is for all up-and-coming professional wrestlers, male and female. You want to know the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts. You got a question, I got the answer. If you want to know how, join my masterclass. Go to realityofwrestling.com for all the information, starting on Thursday and every Thursday after that, guys. Don't miss out. Don't get shut out. And I know you can dig that.
The Academy.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. We about to wrap this thing up, man.
That's it. Let's do it.
Close. Hey, man. Trilogy fight went down UFC this weekend. Daniel DC Cormier went in there, man. And I must say, it was what I expected. Stipe Miocic, I peeped something at the weigh-in more than anything, and I was like, man, Stipe looked like he's in great shape. Look like he can go 5 rounds with no problem. And it seems like that's what he trained for, the long haul, because I've never seen Stipe Miocic's body look in better shape than it did for this fight. Now, on the other hand, Daniel Cormier, it seems to be very, very comfortable at heavyweight, especially on the off season, because the brother, you know what? I've seen Daniel Cormier come in shape, better shape than we've seen him before. It seems like you could tell when a person is really, really training, especially for their cardio. Even at heavyweight, looking at a guy like Derek Lewis, whose body has transformed.
Yeah.
At heavyweight, still being a big man, still being a true heavyweight. Daniel Cormier, on the other hand, a guy that's at that number. And I remember Muhammad Ali talking. I guess he was like 38 at the time, and he said, man, no matter how hard I train, it's hard to get rid of this. And he was talking about his belly, and Muhammad Ali still looked pretty good at that age. But Daniel Cormier coming in at heavyweight, this is the worst I've ever seen Daniel Cormier's body look. And there again, he could have trained just like he thought he did all the rest of the times that he went into training camp. But it's a little bit different once you get a little bit older. It's hard to push like you pushed before. It's hard to recover the way you did before. Your stamina is definitely not going to be there like it has been in the past. And one thing about Daniel Cormier on his rise to prominence, to his rise to being on the top of the game, is I never worried or thought about Daniel Cormier's cardio. But because it was something that never came into question up until the last fight that he had with Stipe Miocic, when Stipe started going to the body. Things changed, and people go, wow, man, I've never seen DC in this position. Finally, in the fight 2, when he finally conceded, not only was he a beaten man, he was tired. He was very, very tired. He said, man, I've done everything I possibly can to get this guy out of here. Okay, let's cash in, go to the pay window, get this check and go home. But this time it seemed like a different Daniel Cormier fighting. It seemed like a Daniel Cormier that knew that this was the last hurrah. After the second round, Stipe Miocic almost stopped Daniel Cormier, and you could tell that Daniel Cormier almost knew he was a beaten man when he made the walk back to his corner. I could be wrong, but just the look in his eyes was telling me, man, this is not going my way, and this is going to be a bad night.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. And first off, look at this throwback of DC in his early UFC career. Check that out. It almost looks like a completely different human being, doesn't it? It doesn't even look like the same guy. Now, of course, he's fine at 205 there.
Wow.
Looks like a different guy, doesn't it?
It does.
You wouldn't say that's a guy who has a poor physique. You'd say, oh, he looks like a fighter.
Well, this was when Daniel Cormier, like I say, pushed himself to get in the best shape of his life. And like I say, I've seen Daniel Cormier come to the fight looking like I'm ready. And the thing is, I'm not looking for Daniel Cormier to come in looking like a bodybuilder or anything like that. I'm not looking to see, if he got a six-pack or anything like that. I'm just looking to see if he's coming in fight-ready shape. And it did not look like DC was in fight-ready shape for this fight with Stipe. There again, I always put an asterisk by everything. I could be wrong. But it showed throughout the fight that Daniel Cormier, then again, I can't take away anything because he fought 5 rounds.
He went the distance.
So I'm going to give him credit as far as that go. At the end of the fight, I must say, Stipe Miocic, he looked tired as well.
Yes.
He looked very tired. And
I think they both took off that third round. That third round, they just hugged.
Yeah. But the fight was what it was.
It was my least favorite of the three that they've had. It was my least favorite.
DC rides off into the sunset like this. Do we think we're ever going to hear from DC ever again? Because DC said he didn't say that he was not willing to fight again. He said, I'm only willing to fight for titles. Which is a very selfish move.
Well, no, hey, I feel him though, because he's like, I'm not going to look, I'm 40, whatever, 41, 40. I'm not going to try to fight back in contention here. I don't only have a couple fights left. I could see Daniel. Here's the thing. I don't think we see Daniel Cormier ever fight in the UFC again unless the guy that we talked about a couple segments ago, Jon Jones, is the heavyweight champion of the world. If he's the heavyweight champion, I could see them saying, I could in a second. I mean, this could be 3 years from now and people would still want to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people would still want to see it, but I don't think DC want any parts of that. I don't think DC want to go down that road ever again. If you notice, DC has taken Jon Jones totally off the books as far as saying anything else about this man at any weight class, because those were embarrassments.
You remember when John said at the press conference, DC, I beat you after a long weekend with Coke. He's like, think if I actually trained for you. That was a great line. But here's the thing. I don't want to crap on DC, though, because the guy's had a phenomenal career. Only two people in the history of his career beat him, Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic. And you can say that those two men are the greatest of all time in their respective weight classes. So to lose to two people who people consider the greatest, I don't think that that's a flaw on your record. I think that Daniel Cormier is in the conversation of one of the best that we've seen. I'm not going to say he's the greatest of all time. And I didn't really understand why people were saying this fight was to determine the greatest heavyweight of all time. Yeah. Like, DC's had like 2 fights at heavyweight. I don't know how we can figure that out. But I think that Daniel Cormier has left a legacy in MMA. He's left a legacy in the UFC. He's going to have a phenomenal career as a commentator if he never gets back in the ring again. I see him as being the voice of the UFC for years and years to come. And salute to him on a great ride. He wanted to go out like Jordan in 98. He wanted to go out like Peyton. It didn't happen for him. And you can tell he's really bummed and upset about that, which is why I think he left the door open to say, well, if it was about titles, I'd come back because then I could just retire the heavyweight champion of the world. Didn't happen. Howard, let me ask you this. How much did you think the eye poke played into the finish of the fight?
I don't know. I mean, I really can't say. I know DC complained about it immediately.
It was a pretty bad one.
Mark Goddard, actually, I remember Mark Goddard plainly said it was a punch, brother.
he came out and he apologized on.
Yeah, he did. And it literally was a rough eye poke. It was tough.
It hurt.
It looked deep. DC. One thing about DC though, if he see a way out, he's going to take it. DC is not going to just man up and say he lost that fight, which I think he did. I don't think the eye poke would have made any difference. He said he couldn't see punches coming from, the right side, or the left side, actually. And the thing is, that may be true. I can't sit here and say he's lying.
Right.
Yeah, that's not true. But I just thought, I didn't think he was going to win that fight. I don't care if the eye poke would have happened. I don't think he was going to win that fight by knockout. I didn't see him winning that fight from a wrestling perspective. I saw DC going out on his shield the way he did as a warrior. But there again, at the end of the day, the question is going to be, because of the eye poke, should they run it back one more time?
Oh, yeah. There's aside from Rocky IV, there hasn't been the 4th installment of any franchise that I've really loved. So I don't know if that was
Pacquiao Marquez.
Oh, well, man, look how that ended for Pacquiao.
Exactly my point. I tell you what, that was poetic justice, man. That was definitely poetic justice as far as Marquez getting his just due after 3 fights and 3 controversial decisions. And then the 4th fight, there will be no controversy because there will be a definitive finish, and it will be by a spectacular knockout. That's what fighting is truly, really, really all about. Would I want to see a trilogy between DC and Stipe? No.
Yeah, the trilogy. Real quick, we only have 30 seconds left of the show. Is Stipe Miocic the greatest heavyweight of all time?
At this point, I must say Stipe has put himself in the conversation of being the greatest UFC heavyweight of all time. When you go back in the history and the annals of time and look at the guys that became UFC heavyweight champion and how many times they defended the championship compared to Stipe, you have to put Stipe at the top of the card on that one right there. Hey guys, there again, we did it. We did it again. Bradley, appreciate you sticking around. All you, all the fans, man, all the listeners that played a part in the show today. Want to thank you guys as well. We'll be back again next Monday, same place, same time, inside the Hall of Fame. Now, can you dig that sucker? Right now,